Wenduag is extremely good during Act 1 and 2, a bit worse during Act 3, 4 and 5, and drops off quite a lot compared to other classes in Act 6. But all in all, this is a hard carry when the game is actually the hardest, and those would be first few acts. So let's go and see a proper build for Wenduag for unfair difficulty. Here you can check the stats for Wenduag. Reflex is extremely good on this build, as well as other saves. Damage is quite solid because we are doing one shot per round with Vital Strike. And the skills that you want to use on Wenduag would be Mobility and Perception, and after that you can transfer to Knowledge World and Lore Nature. But basically these two are the most important. Now we're gonna check items for Wenduag and what you should aim for. Basically any helmet that will raise stats, damage or attack is valuable on Wenduag during earlier acts. Later on you can add Darkness Caress. The only valid amulet for every ranged character in the game, including Wenduag, if you decide to play her like that, is Amulet of Quick Draw. Goggles of Malocchio are the best goggles on Wenduag. Of course, every goggles that offer damage or attack for ranged, okay, it needs to say ranged in description, are also valid on Wenduag. I found that Armor Royal Messenger's chain shirt is the best option for Wenduag. Basically keep it light or medium on her and all is fine. Make sure that armor is mithril or adamantine, of course. For under armor, I believe Earth's Embrace is the best option. Cloak, very simple. There are cloaks for ranged, okay, and you're not wrong if you go with them 2 or 3 cloaks for ranged weapons, but I strongly believe that for harder difficulties, resistances are a must, and this gives the saves, so you go with +1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 as you make progress. Ring of Guiding Star will help out your teammates a lot, because Wenduag tends to crit a lot, and this would be the first option for the ring. The second option would be Ring of Luck. Of course, there's a lot of great rings too, like Ring of Sharp Strike and others that are also very valid on Wenduag. Pick what you like the most, as long as it raises damage, attack, or any other valid stat in a game that's complemented to Wenduag. For Bracers of Abrupt Onslaught, I find them to be great because they raise sneak attack damage, and we're gonna deal sneak attacks a lot. Belt. Any belt at the start of the game that gives dexterity or strength is valid on Wenduag. Later on, belts of perfection are great, and I find a silence belt to be the absolute best on Wenduag for late game. As far as gloves go, gloves of heavy impact are absolutely great on Wenduag. Early game, you will go for gloves that gonna raise Wenduag's attack or Wenduag's damage. For boots, I like freedom of movement boots. If you play with some others, with like raise movement speed and so on, that's not a mistake, difficult terrain too, but I believe these are the best for Wenduag. Now, as far as weapon goes, you are aware that you can play Wenduag with a longbow, with a short bow, with a light crossbow, or with a heavy crossbow. So, basically, I played Wenduag here with a longbow, and we're gonna stick with a longbow build, but everything I say in the future, all you need to do is just change the type of weapon and you can play Wenduag how you want, as long as you stick with that type of weapon. I was using longbow of Leeching Strike as the primary weapon, and as the secondary weapon I was using Killing Pace. Tiger will raise Perception on Wenduag. Now up we go to Wenduag's Mythic Pot. The first one you wanna grab is the bigger they are. If you're not sure of how to play properly, okay, and if you play on harder difficulties for the first time, then Less Stand should be the first one into the bigger they are. Because I know what I'm doing, I took the bigger they are as the first one. You are not wrong to go with a Less Stand. The second one would be Vital Strike Mythic. Third one, Less Stand or the bigger they are. Already said how it works. The fourth one would be Improved Critical Mythic on a weapon you decide to play with. I play with a longbow. If you go with a short bow, then short bow, crossbow, light, or heavy. The fifth one would be Ruptured Restraints. The sixth one would be Weapon Focus on Longbow. Mythic, of course. You decide to go with other weapon, you pick other weapon. Raging Shots for the seventh. For the eighth one, it's gonna be Mythic Sneak Attacker because we deal a lot of sneak attack damage. Ninth one would be Distracting Shots because it's great later on to distract enemies and trigger attacks of opportunity. And the last one can be Point Blank Shot Mythic. Here we are at a regular leveling. A Wenduag starts as a fighter, as you all know, and you receive her on level 1, and she comes with a point blank shot. Okay. After that, when you start leveling up, you go straight to Rowdy, 18 points, and then you put one less point into a fighter on level 20. So, there's nothing to say about the fighter, she comes like that. We start over here with Rowdy, this is level 2, 3, 4, and so on. So, she receives sneak attack damage, and she receives Vital Strike for free, bread and butter spell. All you need to do is right click on a Vital Strike, so it appears over here, and she's gonna shoot Vital Strikes non-stop, one shot per round. If you go with a surprise round, then that would be 2 shots in less than 6 seconds. So, we're gonna pass through regular feats, and then I'm gonna pass through Rowdy feats also. The first one you're gonna grab is Precise Shot. After that, you're gonna go with Accomplished Sneak Attacker. After that, you go with Improved Initiative, so you play faster. After that, you go with Iron Will, with Improved Iron Will, with Lightning Reflexes, Improved Lightning Reflexes, into Sickening Critical that you're gonna trigger to proc non-stop over here. Then you're gonna go with a Snapshot, and then you're gonna go with a Great Fortitude. From Rowdy, she receives Improved Vital Strike for free and Greater Vital Strike for free. She also gonna receive Debilitating Injury and Advanced Talents later on. Sneak attacks on every second level are freaking crazy later on, and she can easily deal 1000 damage on unfair per shot when she crits. So, the first feat we're gonna take is a Weapon Focus on a longbow. After that, we can go with a Slippery Mine for some defense. After that, we're gonna grab cluster shots. After that, we're gonna go with Improved Critical. After that, we go with a Critical Focus, weapon you play with, of course, Improved Precise Shot, Weakening Wound, into Crippling Strike, into Varying Strike, and that would be it with skills. The last point is gonna go towards Deadly Aim in Fighter when you level 20. What is very important to say, because I was playing Aeon, I never learned team feats. So the team feats you're gonna need for Wenduag, and what you're gonna switch is Seize the Moment, Shake It Off, Precise Strike, and Outflank. You do not need the rest. So this 4. We need 4 team feats. What you can exchange is Snapshot, you can exchange Fortitude, you can exchange 1 Lightning Reflex, and you can exchange 1 Improved Iron Will. That would be exactly 4 for Seize the Moment, Shake It Off, Precise Strike, and Outflank. Once you decide to do it, and once you have those team feats, you need to play in a point blank shot so you can trigger those team feats. That's everything there is with Wenduag. If you play with Aeon, you don't need to worry about it because you transfer team feats. In case you play any other class as your main, I told you what to switch. Again, Snapshot, Fortitude, Reflex, Will, 1 point each. You put those team feats and you're good to go with Wenduag. You don't lose much. A few points here. Instead of 45, it's gonna be 43, 58, 41. That's nothing. Now you can check advanced Wenduag stats. Pause when you want to. And we're gonna transfer to abilities. For abilities also, I'm gonna hover over everything, pause when you want. So let's go. I gave her dexterity from a book. We pass through immunities. All the feats. Crazy amount of feats on a Rowdy. Wenduag doesn't have a spell book. And now, how to play Wenduag. There's not much to say, okay? You stick with a point blank, you right click on a Greater Vital Strike, you sneak, you trigger the first shot on an enemy, you hope for a huge crit, and then you can shoot again in less than 2 or 3 seconds. So that will be 2 shots in, call it a half a round, something like that. From this injuries, Bewildering Injury is absolutely great. With Wenduag, you should always position last. Once you exploit less stands on your melees, just go up front with Wenduag, retreat with your melees so you proc less stand on her. She can tank also for 12 seconds, don't forget about it. That's extremely good. Those would be 2 rounds of tanking, 2.5 rounds including her health. She can buy 15 seconds or so, and that's a lot of time to burst enemies with other companions. I'll say it again, Wenduag is the best character in Act 1, mega carry in Act 2, drops a bit in Act 3, drops a bit further in Act 4, she's still the same during Act 5, in Act 6, Threshold is just straight up broken, you need a lot of spells, and she's like a right click character, and you won't profit much on Unfair in Threshold, but she can really carry you off early on.